Welcome to Homemaking with Mema. Today I'm going to do a little bit of a project, but I'm going to do quite a bit of stuff around the house and I'm just going to bring you along with me. I'm also going to go through my upright freezer and my chest freezers to check to see how well we are doing as far as eating down on that stuff that I had shared in a previous video concerning a pantry challenge, challenging myself to use what's in my pantry. So I'm going to bring you along. So the project I'm going to do today is I have to make a lot of taco meat for a gathering in a couple weeks. So the best thing for me to do is I have today off. I'm going to do it in the roaster pan on my kitchen table because this roaster pan takes up, I don't have much counter space. It takes up a lot of room. So as you can see, I've got like this little mat right here because there's so much heat that generates from a roaster pan, and on my kitchen table, I just want to be careful. I have this large cookie sheet. I purchased it at the thrift store probably about 5-6 years ago. So that was a really good find. It doesn't fit into my oven, but I can use it for things like this, and I have used it. So I'm going to get this set up on my table here. I'm going to go grab an extension cord. I still have the meat thawing in my sink. As you can see here, I have 7 chubs. So I'm going to get all that gathered up, get it ready, and then I'll bring you back when I start getting it all in there. Okay, so I'm going to get that ground beef ready to go into the roaster here. I'm just going to spray the bottom. It's dusty. Just put your lid on it, it'll calm down in a moment. So I'm going to get these 7 chubs into the roaster here. So I'm going to turn it at about 300 to just start out with. The lid off. And I have them in the white container here, and I have my little cutting board here. My hands are clean, in case anyone is wondering. So you just open them up and get them in there. And then you'll break it up. I keep the garbage can right next to me so I can throw the packaging in there. You could have a bowl or another container to throw it in, but the garbage can is below the table here. It's below the table, so I just put it right there. And so we'll get all of these in here. And the best thing to do is just use the hands that God gave you. They're tools. My hands are clean, so I'm going to break up this hamburger, because otherwise if you get your masher out and do this, this is so much easier. You have the tools that God gave you. Break it up. But when it starts to cook, I will get my masher out. So this is going to be able to sit in here and cook, and I'm going to be able to do other things, like I have a whole bunch of dishes to do. I don't have a dishwasher. We are the dishwasher. When this house was built 30 years ago, we are the original owners. So there's that. I like to do a lot of things when I do cooking, and if I can just put it in the roaster and walk away and just come back to it and tend to it when needed, I like to do that. But I got dishes to do as well, so I'm going to get the lid on this, get this cooking, and then I'll bring you back probably when it starts to cook a little bit and looks more cooked and not raw, and we'll bring you back then. So I mentioned in my video that I had to do dishes, part of the day in the life, and that's what I'm doing here. We don't have a dishwasher. We are the dishwashers. And it was by choice. This house was built 30 years ago, and the choice was made by me to not have a dishwasher, mainly because we couldn't afford it. Um, so, and we've talked about putting a dishwasher in, but it's just going to take up cupboard space that I am not willing to sacrifice. I don't know what woman out there would want to sacrifice cupboard space for. Yeah, they probably want a dishwasher, but I'm good with it. I've been washing dishes my whole life by hand. I have worked in jobs where I've used a commercial dishwasher, and I've also been at other people's houses where I've used their dishwashers. I have no problems with the dishwashers. Um, Washing dishes by hand builds character. It's something that everyone should know how to do. If you don't know how to do it, you need to learn how to do it. It's not that hard. And in my eyes, when you're touching the dishes, I believe that they get a lot cleaner. There's some controversy out there, and let it be what it is, but I don't mind doing the dishes by hand. And so that's another project that I'm doing today. It's not a project, it's a chore. Along with when I went through the pantry and the freezers to see what we had left in there. And then I'm also cooking all that bulk hamburger for taco meat for a future gathering that we're having. So this has been going just for a little bit. I figured I'd bring you along. Break it up. It's going to be a while before all of this is cooked. This is a lot of meat, but I can get other things done, so that's why I'm doing it this way. All right, so we're going to go through the upright freezer. I'm just going to give you a quick glance there. We'll go through it and pull out what still needs to be eaten up. I pulled a kitchen chair with a little white bucket there, and that's what I'm going to throw the things that I need to eat up. And then when I put them back in the freezer, I'm going to put them on the top shelf and hope that encourages myself to use it up. Okay, so I've got them all gathered up. We're going to go through them. Looks like my daughter has been eating some of the toasted slivered almonds, so that's good. That's getting used up somewhat. We have walnuts here. There's only about that much left. Not much. There was a lot more than that. I made some brownies, and I also made a chocolate zucchini banana cake, and I used a good portion of those walnuts, so there's not much of that left. We have some butterscotch chips. There were 2 bags that were open. One was like half and the other one was like a third. I combined them together and put them into this container. These need to still get used up. There was some taco soup in the upright freezer that I brought up here to be eaten. We just haven't eaten it yet. We still have some strawberries here. We can use them for smoothies. Or if I make an angel food cake or purchase an angel food cake, we can make strawberry sauce to put over that. We still have the hot dogs here that haven't been eaten. We did open up some Sunny Sweet chocolate chips. That was for the brownies that I had made. So they're not in a big hurry to be eaten up. We still have this lonely little cod that still needs to be eaten up. There's a little bit of pizza sauce and a little bit of pepperoni. The pizza sauce, I don't think I brought it out the last time. Anyway, I'm going to be making some homemade pizzas here to be put in the freezer so that we can pull them out and eat them when we need them. That's going to be in the future here, so these will get eaten up. So that's what I have left in my upright freezer. I know I have some vegetable scraps for making a broth. I haven't made that broth yet, and I didn't pull the vegetable scraps out. Those don't need to be eaten up, but they're there for when I do decide to make some homemade broth. So we're in my basement where we keep the upright freezer, and I apologize, I am doing laundry. It's, it's real life. So we're going to go through here again, just real quick. We have a big gap here and a big gap here. I've used some of the cream cheese, obviously some of the butter, some orange juice. We still have the containers of beef juice, but I can use that when I make a beef broth, which I don't know when I'm going to do that. We still have some corn. There's only a couple packages of cauliflower rice. Here's the chicken broth from when we cook, you know, like chicken breasts or chicken thighs or something like that to make something. And there's drippings. I save these containers. My kids have always teased me, but you know what? They're food safe. They work, and I didn't have to buy it other containers to store it in. So I reuse these. I go through them once a year and get rid of the ones that, you know, need to go away. We still have that whole bag of walnuts. We still have the 3 bacon drippings, but we don't go through that a lot. There's some roast drippings, beef drippings, and that will be put in with the beef juice when I make a broth, homemade broth with that to can it. These are my daughter's items here. She's on a special diet, so she purchases her own food to cook with that. These are containers down here of stuff that really don't need to eat up right away. Same with these 2, but I am going to be, my goal is, can you see some of that frost? Can you see that? My goal is tomorrow to defrost this upright freezer. It's not that bad, but if you keep up on it, then it's not really hard to do. Otherwise, I've seen some freezers that are, oh my goodness, you can't even get food in and out. I'm not like that, but my goal is to do that. So I'm going to bring you back after I go through this shelf. I believe these are some items here that were just recently made, but there wasn't any room down here to put them. So we'll see what we can do here. And we have been going through things up here as well. So I'll bring you back when I get all these containers out that need to be used up first. And as you can see, I had a 4th one here, and we combined that all. So we have been using this stuff. So I'll bring you back in just a moment. Okay, so I got it all out onto the table. Sorry for the lighting. I only have one light bulb in here, and I didn't bring my other light down. I combined it all to see if I could get it into 2 containers, and I actually can now. So here's one empty container. But we'll go through this, see what we got left. These are sliced peppers. In my previous video, you've seen I had quite a bit of sliced of the multicolored peppers. We ate one for fajitas one night, so I did get rid of one. And this package has all diced assorted peppers, and I did say that I plan on making a pepper jelly with this. I do have some jalapenos in the freezer upstairs that's going to go with this. When I do that, I'll make a video on that. So those will get used up. We still have a smoked ham here still that I haven't done anything with. I know Easter's coming up, so I don't know if I'll do something with it then, or maybe I'll cook it up and freeze it into separate containers after it's been cooked for like future freezer meals. So I'm going to get all this back into this container. So I was able to get it all to fit in there. I was pretty happy. We've gotten rid of 2 containers so far. That's pretty good. I have 1 package of the chicken breasts that were from September. That's left. I believe I had 3, maybe 4, but we ate fajitas one night, and then I cooked up some more, and I made barbecue chicken. We ate that, you know, as a sandwiches, and then I did save some of it for barbecue chicken for pizzas, which will be a video coming up. We have 1 container of the Sloppy Joe. There isn't much left there. We did eat 1. I have 1 package of the French bread. When you go to Walmart and you find their marked down bakery items, what I do is if I get them at a good price, then I'll bring them home, divide it up just for a meal. So this is good enough for one meal. I have the poor little bag of white almond bark. I'm going to make a dessert with that, I believe. Whatever dessert I make, that's a sweet dessert, I'm going to shred this up and I'm just going to put it in there with it. I don't care what it is. If it's like banana muffins or if it's brownies or cookies or whatever, I'm going to shred this up and throw it in there, and that's going to use this up. So we'll get that used up. I still have all these packages of enchilada sauce that I had made and froze. This little tiny one that'll probably get mixed with one of these. We don't eat enchiladas a lot, and I don't make them as a freezer meal and freeze it with the sauce anymore. I don't care for the sogginess it gives the flour tortillas. So when I do make something like that, I'll video it and show you how I do it. So there's that. We still have the bag of cauliflower left, and the container of cowboy beans that needs to be eaten up. This one's from August. So that's what I have left in my upright freezer. And so I'm just going to get this all back into these two containers and back into the freezer. So now we're coming into bedroom downstairs that I turned into a pantry that's got 2 chest freezers in that, and it holds my canning as well, and then all my items that I get store-bought. So I set all this out. This is what we've got left to eat. That was from down here. These were the items that were upstairs in the pantry, in the cabinets upstairs. Anyway, we still have some panko crumbs. There's quite a bit left in here. Some of the tomato powder that we can mix in with just about anything. That little bit of popcorn. Some beef stew mix that I had made. Haven't broken into that at all. This lonely little oatmeal packet. I think because I brought it down here, things just didn't get eaten as quickly as I hoped. Unfortunately, it just takes up room upstairs. So I brought it down here with the rest of my items here. We still have 2 strawberry raspberry jams. I'm going to eat those. There's this little packet of pancake mix. We'll make that. I did use some of the French fried onions and the panko crumbs on I think it was a turkey casserole that I had made. So there's just a little bit of that left in there. And then there's some barley here, which I could use to make beef and barley stew if I use that beef mix, that powdered beef mix. So then over here, we still have a spaghetti squash, which I never mentioned, but I did show. That was from the garden this last year. We have some homemade grape jelly. There's still these cans. There's a black bean and a Great Northern bean. Haven't touched the lentils at all. We're not huge lentil fans. I don't think I'll buy lentils again. But I'm not going to get rid of those. We're going to figure something out with them. Dehydrated green beans. Those I can put in with something and they'll rehydrate back up again. We're down to 3 cans of pinto beans. I think I used one up for something, for a taco soup. So we're down to those 3. Still haven't eaten the pickled sweet carrots, but I'm not getting rid of those either. We're eating them. The manicotti I haven't done anything with. Here's another whole unopened container of panko crumbs that the date to eat it's getting close. I did make a chicken chow mein with 1 can of the chicken breast, so that's gone. I had made one of the wild rice soups. Still haven't used the graham cracker crust. We're down to 1 packet, and I didn't realize it, but this is the Fiesta dip. And then when I was going through my canning stuff, when I was canning the beans, which are right here, here's the pinto beans and the black beans that I canned. You can see they're not in here. I did can them up, and I have a video on that. But in my canning supplies down here, which is over here, lids and that, and then these are just some items, you know, like sure gel, things like that, some cheesecloth. But anyway, I found some Mrs. Wage's salsa mixes. I have 2 of them. So we used up the salsa that I had canned. Wasn't a great fan of it, but we're gonna do it. I bought some more petite diced tomatoes, which goes well with this, and I'll be the future I'll be making some salsa, but I am gonna put them in the smaller jars because we don't eat them quite a bit, like this size jar, like a jelly jar. We don't eat it that fast. And that's what I have left down here for pantry items. And then now I'm going to go through the freezer. There really isn't. I'm not forced to use this stuff because when it's frozen, you're not forced to use it up that much. I have pulled out, I'm going to be cooking a whole bunch of hamburger today, and I pulled out the chubs from here. This was bacon that we bought future. I still have the tomatoes are here. Those I could probably use when I do the salsa. There's some cranberries here I need to can up. We haven't eaten any of the whole chickens. But this container had all kinds of beef hamburger chubs in it. Plus there's a whole bunch buried underneath all this. And I just kept this box in here because it holds everything real well. And I just threw, you know, roasts and steaks in here. So that's that freezer. And then this freezer, my daughter has used some of the chicken breasts that were in here. We still have all the turkey, some of the hamburger chubs that were in here. There's only like 2 left in here. I put some over here so it's just easy to get at them because otherwise they're buried in that other freezer. There's some pork chops here that we pulled out that she wanted to eat. This is her bacon. We've cooked some of the sausage for the ground sausage. We haven't done much with the sausage links that we had. Still have the Canadian bacon. So we are eating, you know, stuff in here, just not as quick. But it is going down. My main concern was the upright freezer and eating things that were in there that really needed to get eaten up. And I had pulled some of the meats aside for that. But I have gone grocery shopping. I didn't limit myself to not go grocery shopping, but I have not gotten that. I have not done a huge grocery. You can see there's so many holes. So many holes in here. And that's just my canning supplies. There's big holes down here. We've gone through some of our taco seasoning, some of our other packets. Still all this is here. We've used some of the items that were in here. The Velveeta we had the Velveeta that was there, and we made, which we're going to use up the rest of it today. You know, where you put Velveeta and cream cheese and cooked taco meat and like rotel and some green chilies, and you use like the scoop tortillas. We made some of that for the Super Bowl, and I only used half of everything, so I still have half of all that left. So we're going to have that today. Since I'm cooking up all that taco meat, I'm going to take some of that taco meat out of there and use it for that dip. And that's going to be supper. It's going to be quick and easy supper for us. I brought one of the elbow macaronis up. Nothing's really changed here. Used up the coffee, so I have that on my order. I made the chow mein, so I'd gotten rid of some of we used one of the chow mein noodles and then the chow mein vegetables that we had. And then, like I said, I purchased some more diced tomatoes so I can make some salsa in the future. Use up that Mrs. Wages, but otherwise it's looking pretty good. I don't plan on doing a really big shopping trip for quite a while here. But when I do, I'm hoping to have a grocery haul for you to show you how much I get. And the canning, I didn't really go over that much with you. Carrots from, what is that? Oh, 2022. Not much less, just a roll. Green beans from last year's garden. I made a chicken soup. I had dehydrated vegetables and I rehydrated them, and then I ended up using some chicken breast that needed to be used a while back, and I canned that. There's the pinto beans, the black beans, Great Northern beans, 1 large jar of black beans, and then kidney beans. There's some beef roast that was canned from the previous beef that we had ordered before we had gotten that other beef. So that's all good. There's some hamburger there that I canned. There's like two chicken. The chicken and pork look like each other. That's why it's really good to label everything. So here's chicken in broth, and then there's pork in broth. This is venison from the deer that my husband had gotten. We don't eat it up that fast. I'm not a huge wild game eater, but I canned it. When I canned the ground venison, the liquid I used for in it was beef broth. So that'll help tame down that wildness. There's some split pea soup that I made because I had some split peas that I needed to use up. This has black-eyed peas in it and a mixture of Great Northern beans. It's a ham and bean soup. I canned that up. There's some quarts and some pints, cranberries for the juice. When cranberries are in season and they're on sale, that's when you buy them up and you make them. And if you can't freeze them, then you can make your juice later. This is all beef broth. This is canned spaghetti sauce. And then down here is some turkey broth that I had made from turkey carcasses. That's all that I have canned for right now. We had gone through it real well. I have a lot of empty jars in that, but I do plan on doing some canning projects in the future here. So that's what's left over. I think we're doing pretty good on it. Okay, so I had mentioned that we had like a tostita taco dip with the Velveeta cheese, cream cheese, and rotel and taco meat. We had that for the Super Bowl, but I only used half of the ingredients as far as the Velveeta cheese and the cream cheese. So I'm going to use the rest of that up today, so it is not in my refrigerator. The Velveeta cheese, yeah, that will last forever, but that's what I'm going to do here now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of the rotel in there first, so that when I cut up the Velveeta cheese and the cream cheese, there's a little bit of moisture on the bottom so it doesn't get burned or on the sides there. And then just cut this into chunks. This is a great, like appetizer in that. And for the Super Bowl, we had the typical appetizers that everybody has: wings, different flavored wings, barbecue, boneless, bone-in. We had this, and I want to get this used up. I don't want to sit in my refrigerator because it just takes up room. My refrigerator, it's big, but it's not that big. And so the cream cheese, when it gets frozen, it gets crumbly when you go to use it, but it is good to use in things like this. Or if you're going to be making a casserole or a sauce or something like that, it isn't good for spreading because it does crumble. As you can see, it's not the texture that you would normally have if you thawed out the cream cheese. This has been frozen, and I have no problems with it. If I'm going to use the cream cheese and I want it to look pretty, then I don't freeze it. I buy it right away. I'm going to go clean up my hands here, and then we'll get the green chilies in there as well. And then when the taco meat is done being cooked, I'm going to add that in there as well. But I'll get this all ready, put it in the refrigerator, take it out later when the taco meat is done, and then I can put it in its base and we can have supper. I don't like things really spicy. And as you can see, a little bit of rotel on the bottom, the cut up Velveeta cheese, half of that cream cheese. I'm going to use half of these green chilies. I don't like things super spicy. I want to be able to enjoy my food. But I am going to put the rest of the rotel in, which rotel does have chilies in it as well. It just wasn't as spicy. And then I have this. I didn't put it in the last time. But I have the rest of this packet of the Ranch Fiesta. And I'm going to put that in there. Need to use it up. And I have that one other one downstairs still. So put that in there. And once everything gets melted, it'll all combine. So I'm going to put this in put the lid on it, put it in the refrigerator, put it in the crock pot sleeve a little later here after the taco meat is done that I'm cooking, that big bulk cooking I'm doing for taco meat. And that's going to be supper for tonight. Really super easy. Okay, so the hamburger is done cooking in the roaster. So I just shut it off so that I could strain it. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to strain it. I'll bring you back here a little bit. This is just the mild taco seasoning because we are feeding a group of people. And so I wanted to be mindful of not having anything spicy, especially when there's kids eating it, because there will be kids eating this. They don't like spicy things. So on the package directions, for a pound of ground beef, you want 2/3 cup of water with a packet of the taco seasoning. So let me get that all figured out and I'll tell you what I came up to. Okay, so for the liquid part of the taco seasoning, I had 6 large, full packets of the taco seasoning, and then I had like half of one that was opened. So it brought it up to 4 cups, and then I figured I'd put 1/3 more water in to make up for that smaller packet of taco seasoning. So we'll get all that mixed together. Okay, so I finished cooking that taco meat in the roaster. I took out a cup and put it on the top of the Tostito cheesy dip that I'm making here to use up the Velveeta cheese and the cream cheese. We're going to use Tostito scoops, or whoever makes the scoops. And that's going to be our supper tonight. It's going to be a simple supper tonight. It looks really full right now, but once that cheese starts to melt, then I can mix it up. And I usually use a knife. Oops, sorry about that. I usually use a knife to get it stirred because it's so hard to get in here when your crock pot is full. So if you use a knife and you can just kind of move it around. So that's my tip for that. It still has a little bit of cooking, but I'm going to take a sneak with the Tostito scoop and get a taste of it. That's good. I like that ranch in there. It's got a little bit more of a kick this time because I put the green peppers in there. But it's not that big of a kick that you can't enjoy eating it. Turned out great. So to round out more of what I'm going to do in a day, I always throw in a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I did the dishes earlier. I did all kinds of things that you've seen in this video, and now I'm going to just vacuum the living room and the hallway. So the taco meat is done simmering. Simmered for about 40 minutes. But I had it on low, so it didn't burn or anything. So now I'm gonna put it into these plastic bowls that you see here. Now, my suggestion to you, it's got to cool completely before we store it away. And we're going to store it away probably in Ziploc baggies once it completely cools. So I'm going to set this aside. So I put that taco meat into 2 Ziploc bags and got all the air out. And I'm supporting them on a cookie sheet. So I'm going to freeze them this way. And then tomorrow I can take them off the cookie sheet. So that way then, if I put them in the freezer now, they're just going to form to the grates that are in that freezer. So put them on a cookie sheet, freeze them just like that, and then the next day you can take them off and it'll fit just fine in your freezer. So I want to thank you for joining me today during my kind of day in the life. We got a lot done. I showed you how to cook up a large quantity of meat without having to babysit it at the stove. We cooked up that taco meat. We also went through to see what we had left in the pantry, in the freezer, upright freezer, and the freezer upstairs here. We've gone through so much of that, and we still have a lot to go, but we've gone through a lot of it. And we got some house cleaning done. So I want to thank you again for joining me. And if you like this kind of content, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And there will be more videos to come. And I also want you to know, I want you to make it a really great day.